Hi, this is the Outlaw, host of the Writer's Block with svmixmedia.com, The Pledge, and I'm here at the Book Beat, and this is the 30th anniversary of the Book Beat. It's a bookstore located right here in Oak Park, Michigan, right on the corner of Lincoln and Greenfield. And we're going to go about, talking to different people, talking to the different authors, and just talk about the celebration that's going on here today. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge, and we're here at Book Beat. It's the 30th anniversary of Book Beat Bookstore, and I'm here with Carrie, owner. How is this today? It's a beautiful turnout.
It's a nice turnout. We're real happy to be doing this and helping the community and getting people, writers together here.
How are you able to do it for 30 years?
I don't know. We have like we don't have enough time to cover it, but it's it's a struggle every day, and you just put your work, your heart and soul into it, get passionate about something, and you just do it.
So, everybody rants and raves just about just the feel of coming to your store and, just how everybody's treated and everything. So it's just great to see that, a store like yours has survived in this internet era with .com's bookstore.
Right. We're happy to be here. Real happy. Thanks.
Do you see a lot of different types of authors come into the store?
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen some of them here tonight. We've got people from Elmore Leonard to, people that have self-published their own books. So it's a great array of writers and children's books, and it's real nice.
So one last question for you. What can we expect for the future? I'm wishing you another 30 years.
Hope we're here in 30 years, but I don't know what's going to happen, but...
Well, I'm sorry.
It's been a good run so far. So we're just hoping that people support our store and, continue to buy physical books and to read to your kids and, share books with each other.
And that's a very important message. And my show, The Writer's Block, will definitely be supporting you. And I'm sending all of my readers to the Book Beat, okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. I'm the Outlaw here with Senator Levin. How are you today?
I am fabulous, just happy with my wife, so can't be better than that.
It's great to see you out at the event, the 30th anniversary for Book Beat. How important is the longevity of a business like this for Michigan?
Well, of course, all small businesses are important, and the more they can thrive in our community, the stronger our community will be. But this is a special small business because it's a bookstore, and bookstores are under huge pressure, and the fact that this bookstore can not only survive but thrive, and the outpouring here today, I think, also indicates that there's a real love for this kind of a place.
I totally agree. And are you an avid reader yourself?
I am.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your favorite book or author?
Oh, my. I love Elmore Leonard, who's around here today. We haven't seen him yet, but he's one of our favorite authors anyway.
Okay, very good. I'm not going to keep you long. I just want to thank you so much for taking time out and talking with us today. And thank you for supporting Book Beat, 30th anniversary, and I wish them 30 more.
Yeah, well, they're a miracle. Any bookstore that makes it these days with all the e-books that are out there, it says something about the owners and their commitment to kids and people.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Senator Levin. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. This is the Outlaw, and I am here with the legendary Elmore Leonard, author of Get Shorty and over 45 novels. How are you today?
I'm good today. This is a big day. This is a great there's a great turnout here.
It is. We're here at the 30th anniversary of Book Beat. To you, as an author, how important is bookstores like this today?
I think it's well, there are so few left that boy, and this has always been a good bookstore. It's got a mix. He doesn't have a lot of bestsellers, but not many of them are that good anyway. So I think he knows what he's doing. And he's appeared when I would give a talk at a library. He would appear with all the books, So he was one you could always count on. So I was glad of that.
That's excellent. Now, I hear you have over 45 books. How do you keep it fresh?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to repeat myself, and some of the plots may be somewhat similar, but I've only used the same characters. I've had favorites like Stick, who's in 3 different books, because the book sold well, and the guy who's in the TV show, Raylan.
Okay.
Now, he's in about 3 books, but I try and get a new guy each time. I had Raylan, the character who's on the TV, Justified, and that's going to go for at least 6 years. Glad to hear that. So it's just everything's working. I mean, the longer I go, just the better it gets.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. I know that's great for the readers out there. Now, I have a little tidbit of information I want you kind of elaborate on for me. They told me to ask you about the 2 worst movies ever made. You want to kind of give us the background about that?
Well, let's see. One was nuts. I can't think of. One was made twice, and the first time it came out, I said, God, this is at least the 2nd worst movie ever made. And then, but then I saw it. It took place in the Thumb area of Michigan, right here, and they switched the location to Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
So that anytime there are several lulls in the story, and they would cut to surfers.
Now, the thing about that is they were made from the same book, one of your books.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of the name of it.
Is it The Big Bounce?
The Big Bounce, that wasn't, yeah, that was it, The Big Bounce, right. Because I thought at the time, when I wrote The Big Bounce, I thought this is going to become a popular usage of words. Oh, this is going to be the big bounce. We're going to have fun, you know? But it didn't catch on.
It's funny how, the interpretation can go like that. Now, I was interviewing Senator Levin just a moment ago, and just questioning him, I asked him who was his favorite author or what was his favorite book, and he mentioned you, and he was trying to get to you. How is that you're so popular?
Well, it's terrific,
How do you handle that? You seem so down to earth.
Well, I don't get huge crowds the way people who are at the top of the bestseller list. They'll appear somewhere and everybody's lined up. There'll be 200 people lined up. I never have 200 lined up, ever. So that I like to think that my books are a little more, or my people are my readers are a little more selective.
Okay,
See?
okay.
So I tell myself that.
Now, your son is an author as well. How does that make you feel that, one of your kids was able to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I think it's great. And the thing is, when he started writing fiction, he had an ad agency for 25 years. Then two of his clients pulled out. Volkswagen and Audi. Yeah, those were the 2. They moved to another agency down south. And so he was glad because he wanted to write books. But of course he had 8 people working for him. They weren't glad. But then he started writing them right away. And they were good. I couldn't believe it. They were good.
Out of 45 books, what is your favorite?
Well, I used to say Freaky Deaky.
Okay.
But now, and every morning before I work, I'll pick up one of the older books and just get into the rhythm of it to see, what it feels like, what it sounds like, and to get into the right mood. And so I've read some, like Get Shorty, I think is a good one. It was a good movie too. And I don't know. But when someone mentions the book, like Pronto or any one of them, I'll say, what was that about? And then, or I'll read the opening, and it'll tell me. I'll remember it then.
I want to thank you so much for just taking the time out and talking to me today. And just, you know, we're going to keep following you, and we can't wait till the next book comes out to get it, okay?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. This is the Outlaw at svmixmedia.com, and we're here at the 30th anniversary of Book Beat, and I have author Jean Alicia Ellister. She's the author of Who's Jim Hines? Hi.
Hi there, how are you?
I am very fine. So what do you think about the event today?
Oh, this is just marvelous. The community has come out to support Colleen and all that she's done for 30 years. I think it's just wonderful.
Yes, I do too. Now let's talk about your book. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, this is Who's Jim Hines, and it's published by Wayne State University Press, and actually it's based on real events in my family's history. And in this book, the 12-year-old boy, it's a coming-of-age book, and he's coming to terms with the racial realities of Detroit in 1935.
Wow.
Depression.
Okay, so you were able to get like actual comments and commentary from family members to put the book together.
Yes, definitely. I took a lot of oral histories at family reunions. And unfortunately, my uncle passed, who was the 12-year-old boy, before the book was published, but he knew I had the book contract when he died. But I would talk to him, I would talk to my mother and her sisters, and in fact, sometimes they would come back to me with little things that they remembered that they forgot to bring up previously. So it was wonderful to be able to do that, yes.
That's great. Do you have any other books coming out anytime soon?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked because I wrote and I just gave to my publisher, Wayne State University Press, the companion book to Who's Jim Hines, and it's called The Colored Car, and it should be out in the fall of 2013.
Do you have any words of inspiration for any like first-time authors or people who are looking to become an author?
You know what I tell, and especially when I go to schools or speak at libraries, I say to be a good writer, you need to be a good reader. So I don't care if you're 6 or 60, you have to keep reading, you have to know what's out there, you have to have the rhythm of just what is today's reality. Even if you're writing in the 1935, still, what parts of 1935 resonate with today's readers? So I would just say read, read, read.
Thank you so much, and thank you for keeping Detroit history alive in your writing, and we look forward to following your career.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. This is Outlaw with svmixmedia.com here at the 30th anniversary of Book Beat. And I'm here with Dan Austin, author of Lost Detroit. So Dan, how long have you been coming to Book Beat?
Jeez, you make me feel old. I've been coming to Book Beat for at least 7 years probably. I mean, I moved back to Detroit about 7 years ago from Seattle, and you know, it's a great place. I mean, it's where else can you find a bookstore in Metro Detroit these days, let alone a bookstore that's been here as long as Book Beat. It's owned by people who love Metro Detroit and support local authors such as myself.
So how long have you been writing?
About 6, 7 years probably. Just be trying to tell the stories behind some of Detroit's buildings, those that are still with us, those that are demolished, those that are still in use, those that are abandoned, you know, and trying to show off all the amazing architecture Detroit has and has had.
So what did it take to go into, you know, being able to go into all these buildings and getting the history of it?
The history stuff is actually the hard part. Going into the buildings wasn't that hard, but really the problem was trying to figure out which buildings to do because there are so many amazing buildings in Detroit. History-wise, you know, it's just going through microfilm and microfiche and trying to dig through these old newspapers and trying to uncover these lost stories that we've forgotten about.
So what's next on the horizon for you as a writer?
Right now, working on a second book. Deadline's in 2 weeks, and this book will focusing on a lot of the buildings that Detroit has lost. So Detroit's old City Hall, the city's first skyscraper. I mean, a lot of these beautiful places that met the wrecking ball already. So we're trying to maybe make people look at what Detroit's lost and maybe have them think twice before they start swinging that wrecking ball again.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for your time here. And this has been svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. Hi, this is the Outlaw, and we're here at Book Beat at their 30th anniversary for svmixmedia.com. And I'm talking with author Margaret Mason. Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
So what brings you out here today?
Well, I was asked to come and sign books, and I would do anything to help Colleen and Book Beat because they're a wonderful bookstore, so I was happy to come.
How long have you been coming to Book Beat?
Oh, since my kids were little, so I don't even want to tell you how long that is. Over 20 years.
So how is the experience coming? Because, you know, we don't, to Amazon.com and BarnesandNobles.com, we don't have the you know, brick and mortar bookstores anymore. So what's the experience like just to come in and, you know, talk to people that you know?
Oh, it's completely different from sitting there by yourself online ordering books. When you come here, you find fellow book lovers, you talk to people who know books, who are passionate about them, and it's like going back in time for me, like back to the magical world of my childhood, you know, when books represented a journey elsewhere. So it's a totally different experience. And my kids, I don't think could survive without bookstores. To walk into, you know, they would literally go and spend hours in a bookstore just looking at all the different books and then walk out, you know, spending a lot of money.
And it's funny because there's a lot of people out here and a lot going on, but if you go through the halls of Book Beat, you see people just sitting there just going through, you know, like it was just two people there. So it's a great experience.
Yeah, it creates a very intimate experience for readers, I think.
Okay. Now tell us about These Hands.
Well, These Hands is about a grandfather who is helping his son learn to use his grandson learn to use his hands. And in the course of helping him, he tells him about an incident from his own past when he used to work in the Wonder Bread factory in Detroit. And he, as an African-American worker, was not allowed to touch the bread dough because back in the late 60s, the late 50s and early 60s, it was kind of an unwritten rule in the bakeries that the black workers couldn't touch the bread dough because the management felt that if people knew that, if white people knew it, they wouldn't buy the bread dough. And I heard this story from an old friend of mine who was a union member and union leader who worked in the bakeries back then. And he told me about that experience and I remembered it. And so years later, I had the idea to turn it into a children's book.
So when they buy the book, what's the moral of the story?
Well, the moral of the story is remember our past and learn from it. Remember the freedom that you have today came at the price of all the sacrifice and hard work of people who came before you. But the message also is you can do anything with your hands.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for keeping Detroit history alive in your writing and just showing how real things were, you know, back then. All right, Margaret, thank you so much, and we look forward to following your book career, okay? All right. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. I'm the Outlaw, and we're here at Book Beat Bookstore, and we're celebrating 30 years of service. And I'm here with Oprah Beatty, and she's been a long-time patron of Book Beat. And I just wanted to ask you, you know, what's your experience as far as coming into the bookstore?
Oh, I love it. It's very unique. It's not like the larger bookstores, so I love coming here. I don't get here as often as I used to, as you can tell, because I'm kind of handicapped. But they have a wide selection of books, all kinds of books. And so I appreciate it, and I try to support the neighborhood.
What do you think about all the different authors that's coming out to support, and they're right here from Detroit?
I think that's wonderful. I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect it. And so that's wonderful.
You're an avid reader yourself. What is one of your favorite authors?
I don't know that I have a favorite one. There are many. I won't give a favorite one. Okay.
That's fine, that's fine. And the last question that I have for you is, how important is reading for our kids today?
Extremely important. If they can't learn to read and read well, they can't make it in any field or any endeavor that they want to go into. I have a 12-year-old granddaughter who loves to read. In fact, that was one of her first words were read. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Oprah, for your time. And this has been svmixmedia.com, The Outlaw, The Pledge. svmixmedia.com, The Pledge. This is The Outlaw, and I'm speaking with Peter Leonard, author of All He Saw Was the Girl. And we're here at the Book Beat 30th anniversary, celebrating 30 years of wonderful service to the community. And tell us about your book.
The book, actually, the opening scene is based on a true story. I was a student in Italy years ago and ended up drinking too much, and I stole a taxi cab, and I was arrested by the National Police, the Carabinieri, and I spent a week in Rebibbia prison. So that's how my story opens, and then from there, it's about two different story arcs, and but it all comes together at the end, and it opens in Rome, and it then cuts back to Detroit and back to Rome.
Well, thanks for including Detroit in the story, you know, keeping us alive here.
Every book I've written has scenes in Detroit. Some of them take place, you know, the whole story takes place in the Detroit area. I like Detroit. I live here, and if you write crime fiction, there's probably no better city to live in. I mean that, you know, tongue-in-cheek, of course.
Well, as far as that, because it's like based off a real-life event, you're not going to find any storyline like that. That's pretty neat for the readers out there.
Right, I think it is unique. Yeah, definitely. A lot of ideas come from newspaper articles or stories you might hear at parties. But yeah, that one I think is pretty unique.
So, do you have any other works that we should be on the lookout for?
I have 4 books published. Quiver is the first one. Trust Me is number 2. Voices of the Dead is the third one, and All He Saw Was the Girl. And I just finished the sequel to Voices of the Dead, Back from the Dead. And I have another book that actually I just finished in August 1st, based on my experience hanging out with Detroit police homicide, and fascinating. And I didn't get any plot lines from the homicide experience, but a lot of good background stuff. And so that book will be out, you know, who knows, in the next year or so.
Now, as an author, how important is the bookstores opposed to being able to go online, you know, Amazon.com, things of that nature? How important is bookstores like BookBeat?
Well, I think they're important. I'm the kind of person, I'm old school. I like to hold a book in my hand. I like to buy a book, and I like to browse around and look at books. And it's tough to do that now with Borders having gone bankrupt. I love stores like the Book Beat because it's an old-fashioned bookstore, and it's cluttered, and it's filled with books, and it's fun to just browse around. Although, I guess, you know, buying books online, you know, is a way to go too, a very easy, viable way to go. So that's here to stay. I think Amazon controls something like 70% of all book sales, which is astounding.
So it's just nice that they were able to stay in business, and I mean a thriving business at that, you know. Now, with your father being Elmore Leonard, famous author, how inspirational was he to your career?
Well, he was very inspirational. I was in the advertising business for 30 years, and I would visit my dad and see how excited he was about what he was doing. And I'd look at his house and his swimming pool and tennis court, and I thought, this guy's got it all. And maybe that inspired me ultimately to write, or maybe it was just, you know, the boredom of what I was doing. It was probably a combination of the two. But yeah, he, in fact, comes over for dinner all the time, and we talk about books. We talk about characters and scenes and storylines, and it's a lot of fun. That
is so great. So it's kind of nice to see a father-son team in the writing genre. I want to thank you so much for taking time out, you know, coming out, just supporting Book Beat and talking with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
svmixmedia.com, the pledge. So there you have it, 30 years of service to readers, authors, and the community, the Book Beat. And the next time you want to get a book, you come over to the Book Beat. Like I said, located right here in Oak Park, Michigan, right on the corner of Greenfield and Lincoln, and come and get your book.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my life with song, let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true.